It was just living in the moment of disbelief.
Oh my God!
We really were caught off guard.
We couldn't leave. We were stuck there.
There was going to be nothing we could do except try to make it through safely.
That is the most scared that I have felt in my life.
Oh my God!
It's surreal.
Holy!
Breaking right now, we've got a tornado warning in effect for parts of Tuscaloosa County. This is live stream video from our storm tracker showing you what's happening in Cottondale, Alabama. This is just to the east of Tuscaloosa, and we're looking at very dark skies here, very ominous looking conditions, rain coming down. Okay, so this is close to Brookwood as expected. Brookwood, you need to be taking your tornado precautions immediately. We're seeing signs that this tornado warning storm is cycling again and is very likely tightening up and producing a tornado yet again. We do have a tornado warning in effect for this storm. It already has a history of producing some damage. Trust the warnings today. Take them very seriously. It's unlikely that you're going to be able to actually see the tornado. We can't see the tornado from this shot here. Skies are dark. Clouds are all over the place. We've seen lightning flashes from time to time. We've seen that green glow in the sky from time to time. And we've even seen some power lines arcing and glowing here today as well. There have been a few homes that were damaged earlier today in Mississippi, but right now our big focus is on the state of Alabama, where we have multiple warnings in effect and multiple confirmed tornadoes to go along with that. Now, earlier today, Selma, Alabama was under a tornado warning, and we did have a confirmed tornado there. This is new video just into the Weather Channel, and yeah, you can see the dark clouds there and the low-hanging clouds too. Tough to see much behind some of those power lines. As you can see, somebody trying to stay clear of it, but also try and get a view of this as well. And we can see the low-hanging clouds of at least a funnel, we think, in that area. No reports of damage in Selma, but that storm did produce damage outside of there into the county. I want to get to our radar right now and give you an update and show you where the most dangerous storms are right now, and it really is across parts of Alabama for the most part, but we've got one north and east of Tupelo, and we've got a couple over here near Monroe, Louisiana. We'll get to those in just a second, but let's take you in near Birmingham, which is kind of surrounded by tornado warnings. The most concerning is the one that we've been tracking right now near Tuscaloosa. This is east of you right now. This is the Brookwood area that we've been talking about, and we have a very strong signature of a hook echo that you can see right there as it crosses Interstate 20. There's likely some large hail associated with this storm as well. So Tuscaloosa, you're actually in between two cells. So we actually looks like we've got a new warning on that. So Sarah, we'll start out here with Tuscaloosa and that one, the one that's heading towards the Brookwood area. There you can see the couplet right there crossing Interstate 20 right now. This is heading towards the north and east. This is an observed confirmed tornado. This is heading towards Brookwood. You need to get to the lowest level of your home, away from doors and windows. This is east of Tuscaloosa. There's Kings Mill Road. There's Interstate 20. I mean, this is the area that we're talking about right now of the greatest concern with that. This is correlation coefficient. If we saw changes in the red coloring there, we'd be worried about debris getting lofted. But Sarah, yeah, let's go back to that other storm too, to the west of Tuscaloosa. Because we've got new areas of rotation to the south and west of there. That's what I'm talking about right over here. And we're seeing signs near Foster that there might be some rotation. So it looks like we could have back-to-back supercells that could be soaking through the area and tracking through. So don't be surprised if your sirens are going off and you get an alert. Then you get a break, and then you get another alert coming in back behind it. So two areas to watch, one east and one in south and west of Tuscaloosa. So let's broaden out, Sarah. We'll take you up to the north of Birmingham. This is a tornado warn cell that we've been tracking for a while. Doesn't look quite as tight in terms of a couplet as it was looking at earlier. This is north of Gardendale. This is just to the south of Warrior. We're going to track this as it crosses and moves to the north and east of Interstate 65 here. north of Birmingham. Warrior at 328, heading towards county line at 334. Locust Fork at 348, and then working its way eventually towards Highland Lake at 406. So this gives you the idea that it's very active, it's very unsettled. Selma, Alabama, just a heads up, watching that other storm, a new one developing down towards your south and west. This is for Marengo, Perry, and Dallas. Right now, this is a radar observed tornado, but earlier Marengo County, we know you had an observed tornado with that warning, so it looks like that one might be cycling, but we do see some broad areas, a couple of different broad areas potentially of rotation. So let's track that out for you towards Safford at 333, Eleanor at 339, Harrell at 353, and then working towards Jones at 430. And there you can see the track on the second area that we're watching for rotation heading towards you, Marion at 343. Remember, when there's a warning, take cover now.
If physicians.
All right, I want to show you some new video coming into us here from Duncanville, Alabama. This was caught by our storm tracker, Charles Peak, just a few minutes ago. It kind of shows you the situation we're seeing with power lines down. This was after the fact of the tornado kind of passing through, so it must have really weakened or caused some tension to allow these power lines to spark. We know there are numerous power lines down and also large trees down near the city of Moundville, that's south of Tuscaloosa, and significant damage to numerous homes and businesses in the town of Moundville. That seems to be the hardest hit community at the moment. However, that storm is now moving towards Brookwood, Alabama, and really, please get into your safe spot immediately. Let's take a live look at Tuscaloosa right now and show you what we're looking at. Here is the situation. This is near one of the busy roads. We had one tornado warning. Now, believe it or not, there's actually a second tornado warning that is in place, and the area of concern brings it right towards downtown Tuscaloosa and the University of Alabama campus. So not one, but two tornado warnings. The first one kind of bypassed us off to the southeast. This next one is now moving right towards the city center. So please, it doesn't look like there are a lot of people out. However, I have seen a lot of video. Remember, it's St. Patrick's Day. There are a lot of people out at restaurants and certain places around town, outside, exposed. That is not the spot you want to be, especially on a day like today. Please make sure you have those warnings. Get to your safe spot, get inside, into the bathroom, the most interior room. If you're at a public spot or a public business, please get inside their safest spot just so you can get out of harm's way. It's going to really do a number to yourself and your family. Let's get a look here at these back-to-back tornado warnings. Again, the first area is that area now pushing towards Brookwood, and the second one is this cell that just passed through downtown Tuscaloosa. So let's start here, and then we'll work our way to the other one. That was the one that pushed through Moundville and the southeast side of Tuscaloosa. That one's still more concerning, but if we back the radar up a little bit as far as the velocities go, you can clearly see this one's not as potent as what we just saw with the life-threatening PDS tornado warning storm that passed us to the south. However, these are dangerous storms, and they have come through Tuscaloosa. If there is a tornado, it's right over the city, moving across the river, and then heading off towards the northeast side of town. This one now north of Brookwood, still a concerning signature there on the velocity. This is the one that's had numerous reports of damage and unfortunately injuries earlier when it was south of Interstate 20. So we're tracking this. If this holds together, guys, Birmingham's on the top right of your screen. So this may head in the general vicinity of the greater Birmingham area over the next hour to an hour and a half or so. So we're gonna have to watch this. And again, long track tornadoes, we are in that kind of environment, and it could easily travel another 40 miles and make it into the Birmingham metro area. So certainly this is gonna be one to watch. If you live in Birmingham, if you live on the northwest side of the metro area there along I-22 or Interstate 65, please pay close attention and be ready to get to your safe spot. If you live in a mobile home, I would already evacuate and get to some sort of sturdy structure just so that you're safe. That's the situation here in Alabama, but there are numerous other states in the threat for not only severe weather, but flash flooding. In fact, one of those states is Arkansas. That's where we find meteorologist Tevin Wooten. He's live for us in Little Rock. You know, since you had that first real round of storms and rain, Tevin, how have things changed? Did you get some sunshine? Are you noticing temperatures rising, or have they come down a little bit?
Well, Chris, we have had peaks of sunshine here or there throughout the lunch hour, but I would say
overall what happened earlier today, that precursing rainfall and potentially some flash flooding that was out there, at least localized flash flooding, that sort of stabilized out everything. Our dew points are now in the upper 50s, not the upper 60s like we had, or the mid 60s like we had earlier today. The temperatures are a little bit warmer. Now we're closer to 70 degrees, so we haven't moistened up much, but we have warmed up a little bit. But just to show you the dichotomy, or the sort of the intersect of those that still have those tornado watches and those that do not, northwestern Arkansas and into the Arkansas River Valley and all the way along portions of I-40 into Russellville and Conway, that's where we have those active tornado watches for the northwestern corner of the state. A lot of the weather has been fairly calm today, but there's still some instability in the atmosphere because we haven't used all of that energy. And it's you can think about the energy like a toothpaste tube. If you squeeze out the toothpaste, you can't put it back in there. Expunging energy in the atmosphere is the same way. So we haven't quite rebounded here in central Arkansas. The next part of the state that's still under the gun for some severe storms, that's southeastern Arkansas. Places like Greenville, also Monticello, by the way, where the temperatures are right around 72 or 73 degrees. They too have not seen a huge sweep of severe weather today. So we'll likely watch a couple more thunderstorms fire up, and they can certainly be severe. We still do have that active tornado watch right now until 8 p.m. tonight for portions of northwestern Arkansas. As we're here in Little Rock, another couple of storms or two, but overall, the big show, that's in the Twin States, Mississippi and Alabama. We'll be right back.
How do you think
Breaking right now, we are tracking multiple tornadoes in the state of Alabama, some of which have been observed. And we're very concerned about what's happening right now just outside of Tuscaloosa, Alabama. So let's get right to the radar. This gives you the bigger picture. We've got multiple warnings in Louisiana, one for Louisiana, Mississippi, and then multiple here in central and southern parts of Alabama. So we want to get right to the ones that we know are observed. And we have a couple of warnings for two different supercells within that area. Tuscaloosa, this is just pulled off towards the east of you right now. Now we have visual confirmation on one. The other one is a radar confirmation that is showing signs of a tornado developing within there. So here's a look at velocity mode. This allows us to see the wind direction and the speed. And whenever we see that red and green next to each other, that's when we know that we're seeing those signs of that rotation. You can see this very strong couplet that we have been tracking that was much tighter earlier, and where we had the observation, it looks like it could be kind of opening up a little bit, or possibly two different areas of rotation with that one. And then the second cell, these are twin supercell, has now made its way to the east of Tuscaloosa, where we're seeing that very strong hook signature. There's also likely some large hail within that storm as well. So let's go ahead and track them and time them out. We're going to start with this storm that just pushed through Tuscaloosa, heading towards Fleetwood as well as into Birchfield, Ezra, and Hueytown down the line. So Fleetwood, this would be arriving at 3:42 this afternoon. Brookwood by 3:51. I know Brookwood, you've already been under a warning, but here we go again. Johns at 4:15, Hueytown at 4:28, and then working its way towards Fairfield at 4:37 this evening. Now let's get to the northern side of this one, Sarah, and talk about where this is heading. So what's interesting to me is we're seeing more of a northerly pull on this one. Birmingham, you are not technically in this warning, but Birmingham, eyes out. You need to be watching both of these supercells because they're getting close, right? They're getting very close, and we think at least the western suburbs have a chance of getting in on this. So we may have to tweak that warning. It's something that we're watching. This is north and west of Abernant right now, and then heading towards the north into the east. So Bull City is next, then Short Creek, as well as Brookside. So this is getting very close to the Birmingham metro area, likely crossing Interstate 22 and then heading towards 65. So Bull City 3:42 rather, Ezra at 3:53, working towards Short Creek just after 4 o'clock at the top of the hour, Adamsville 4:20, and Brookside, if that holds together and heads your way, we're talking 4:26. So these storms today have staying power. we'll say. They've got a good chance at holding together, cycling out, and continuing and extending some of these warnings. And that's why Birmingham, I just want to give you a strong heads up that even though you're not in the warning, you need to be very aware and very alert. These storms are also coming into rounds. We want to take you over towards Selma again. I know, Selma, you had a warning earlier. Now we've got another cell off towards your west for Dallas and Perry counties here. This includes the city of Hansburg. There we see some broad rotation, maybe even two areas, it looks like, of rotation within that storm right there. Radar indicated, though, at this time until 4 o'clock. Trust the warnings. You're not going to be able to see the tornadoes out there for today. And just kind of expanding out, we want to hit that Marengo one more time and give you a heads up there. We've got severe thunderstorm warnings across parts of Mississippi right now and more warnings into Louisiana. So scattered warnings all over the place. There you can see the circulation to the east of the Sweetwater area, Linden Province and Thomaston. We know you've had warnings earlier today. Here we go again under the warnings. And so, Chris, you know, it's tough when you get warning after warning. Don't be fooled or think that it's a false alarm. Know that there are multiple threats that are ongoing at this hour, and this is going to continue. We may see more rounds coming, and a lot of them could actually continue well after dark tonight.
These areas that have been under tornado warnings back to back may get hit again. We want to take you now to Atlanta, Georgia. Temperatures here are still in the 50s, but they're steadily warming. It tells us that a warm front is trying to help kind of bump us out of that wedge. Notice how we're socked into the clouds too, and that is keeping the storms, at least so far this afternoon, sub-severe. That will change overnight, and our real threat for severe weather, I think, is going to come early tomorrow morning. So set your alarms early, especially if you want to get ahead of the game and kind of check in on the radar where the storms are at so you can get your family in their safe spot. Notice how temperatures have continued to climb from Montgomery in the upper 70s to Birmingham near 70 degrees, even Huntsville, Alabama, sitting at 62, and we're just about at 60. But notice Macon, mid-60s and 70s, working their way up the Chattahoochee River. All right, so that warmer trend will allow then storms to really get firing late this evening and really overnight into tomorrow morning. That's where we see our torcons, and then these will also be expanded east throughout the day tomorrow. And there's a quick look at the timing. I want to show you the look on that, and you can see Jackson, Mississippi going to be hit hard. We've been in that threat zone of a 9. That's almost as high as it goes on the torcon. And we're going to continue to track the overall span of storms here across the board. So I want to show you the general trend here across the south. Notice temperatures in Jackson, we're sitting at 82 degrees, or at least we were 84, and then rain came and we're dropped back into the 60s. But that's something we're going to continue to watch, and timing this out here for Jackson. We're looking at torcon still at over 8 to 9. That's almost as high as it gets, and timing individual discrete supercells before a very strong and damaging squall line comes through this evening.
At Enterprise Car.
Thanks for joining us this afternoon. Maybe you've been checking in sporadically throughout the day. I want to show you some new video that we've gotten into us here at the Weather Channel. From Brookhaven, Mississippi. This was earlier this afternoon when we were under a tornado warning. This was a tornado that was spotted just south of Jackson. It shows you the dynamics of the storm, and we're continuing to get numerous tornado warnings still ongoing, and many of these places have had at least 2 and now 3 warnings in the span of 2 to 3 hours. So a back-to-back threat, and we'll continue with that overnight tonight. Tuscaloosa still under a tornado warning. In fact, students in storm shelters here, large halls filled with kids and students from college at their storm shelter as they were trying to hunker down. in advance of the tornado. You can see it's St. Patrick's Day. I know it's big in college towns, and there's been lots of reports of people just out in lines at restaurants and bars and things, but not what you want to be doing when you're literally under multiple tornado warnings. And so it's something we're going to continue to monitor. Let's show you the latest situation we have. Thanks for joining us. Let's get you up to speed. A lot of tornado warnings. We're going to kind of dive right in, but you can see the bulk of these are here in Alabama and across parts of the South. We got a few not far from Natchez, Mississippi there, in far eastern Louisiana and southwestern Mississippi. Let's start here west of Birmingham. These were the two storms. It's almost like twin tornadoes. However, because of a second storm behind it, this may become more of the concerning storm down the line because it's going to kind of choke off the inflow here with this original one. This was the storm that caused all that concern near Tuscaloosa and caused a lot of damage, in fact, injuries south of there near Moundville, Alabama. But notice it doesn't look nearly as impressive as it once did. However, this one's getting a little bit more strong. It's just north of Brookwood right now. This is two tornadoes essentially back to back. This one passing just off to your north and clearly is showing signs of rotation. So what I want to do is kind of track this out because if this becomes the more apparent storm and kind of just chokes this original storm, that original warning takes it to the northwest of Birmingham. If this one becomes more of the potent track, it may take it on a path towards Birmingham proper. All right, and we're not that far away. If we time this out, it gets over, within the next 40, 50 miles or so. And Birmingham, we could be seeing this in our vicinity within the hour. All right, within an hour. So if you live in Birmingham, you need to pay very close attention. I would make sure you kind of have everybody in tabs where they're at and knowing where they're going to be going. Do that prep now so you have plenty of time if this were to hold together and move your way. We've seen this in past severe weather outbreaks, and we know a lot of storms that track towards Tuscaloosa do make it into Birmingham, especially on days like today. So this should not come as a surprise. Birmingham, you're certainly not under the warning yet, but it wouldn't surprise me if this storm were to continue eastward and move in that vicinity. All right, south of there, we've got several tornado warnings that we want to get you close. Marengo County, you've been under tornado warnings. It seems like hour after hour. This continues here for Linden, Providence, and Thomaston until 4:15 p.m. Doesn't look like we have a ton of confirmation with that. It's at least radar indicated. Treat these storms very seriously and take shelter. This is the storm just to the west now of Selma. We know Selma was hit hard by a apparent wedge tornado, or there was confirmation near Selma of that a couple of hours ago, and now here's another storm, and that's what we mean. I want to show you the broader view and kind of time these storms out across the southeast and where we go from here. So notice what happens on our high resolution future radar. We have the first batch that's causing all of the problems here in Alabama today, and then our second batch that's just now starting to spawn tornado warnings. And we've also seen some action there in Oklahoma. We'll have to watch Arkansas and parts of the Mid-South for that. Here's where we go as we go towards dinner time. Numerous supercells and huge swaths of severe weather pushing through the state of Mississippi, and there we go again. Alabama, unfortunately, another round after all that we've been dealing with so far this afternoon, and we'll continue to see this evening. By midnight tonight, a line of very strong and damaging storms pushing through. That will then carry over into Atlanta. Overnight, we'll kind of reset the atmosphere, and then these are going to kind of get enhanced and intensify as they work their way into eastern Georgia, the Carolinas, where we will continue to have live coverage. Looking tomorrow, this will be just as serious of a severe weather day as what we've seen today, and torcons are now up to 7, including parts of South Carolina, Charleston, Charlotte, Raleigh, Fayetteville, even Wilmington. That includes you. Now, as this severe outbreak continues, stay with us here on the Weather Channel 24/7 on Amazon Fire TV, Roku, and your smart TVs. Existing cable and satellite subscribers can download the app now to get access to the latest alerts, forecasts, local radars, and live coverage. And of course, we have crews from the eastern side of the threat zone all the way back to the Mississippi River and beyond. That includes Tevin Wooten from Little Rock and many others. We want to leave you with a live look right now from one of our storm trackers from Brookwood, Alabama, where there's an apparent rotation and tornado warned storm. If this holds together, it could come close to Birmingham within the hour.
Next on Weather Underground, special extended coverage as we track a life-threatening tornado outbreak unfolding across the South. Multiple states face a particularly dangerous situation with violent long-track tornadoes, as well as destructive straight-line winds and large hail.
And that danger by no means finished once the sun goes down. We're going to give you the timing and where dangerous storms will continue overnight and into your Thursday. It's all coming up right now on Weather Underground.
Thank you for being with us tonight for Weather Underground. I want to bring you life-saving information tonight as we keep you up to date on the radar. This evening we'll have live reports from the field, but everything you need to know to weather this severe weather outbreak. Numerous tornado warnings right now, in particular across Alabama, but also more storms now firing along a main line back here through Arkansas, Mississippi, and Louisiana. All right, so down into these storms that we've got here in Alabama. These are some very feisty storms right now, and really on the west side of Birmingham right now is the big concern. Two different storms that are tornado warned, and you can see them moving in tandem here. A little hook echo in there and in there. The first one is in Jefferson County, and that includes in Birmingham here. Fairfield and Hueytown also affected by this. Observed tornado did have some debris that was flying in the air. This warning goes until 4:45 this evening. I would say this, though. It looks like that first storm has started to weaken some. Could be disturbed by a little bit of cooler air from the east getting into that storm. And this one back here, the secondary one, actually is taken over as the stronger one of the two with stronger rotation right now as more undisturbed air is flowing into that storm. So you can see rotation right here just outside of Concord, and another rotation right here just outside of Amernatt. And these are storms that are moving. One's moving more to the north, another one's moving more to the northeast. And I think this secondary storm, this one here near Amernatt, is the one that could actually come a little bit closer to Birmingham itself. So want to give you a look at the correlation coefficient. What this is, I know there's a lot of colors on this map, but what's going to show you is the radar can detect debris that's been lofted into the air and is swirling in the tornado. You're going to see it right in there. Watch that little blue dot that fires right there and goes north. That was the first tornado. The second tornado, don't necessarily see debris just yet, but we're thinking the storm is going to move in a general northeast direction and may come very, very close, if not even over Birmingham, if it holds together. Or if it cycles, you could go through a cycle where it's very intense, and then it weakens, maybe even dissipates, and then you're going to see the same storm reinitiate with another tornado. This could happen. This storm here is the one we're watching, moving off to the northeast, could again come toward Concord here or toward Birmingham. So let's track that one in particular. Bull City, expected arrival time around 4:06, and Huey's around 4:31, and then we move it over toward Birmingham about maybe 50 minutes from now or so. 4:51, the expected arrival time in Birmingham. All right, so you've got a little bit of time if you're in Birmingham. What this means is watch this one very closely and be ready to go to your safe place quickly, all right? Because these storms are very, very dangerous with observed tornadoes in many instances. Radar indicated tornado that's just come from Mississippi over into Alabama now, close to Russellville, Colbert, and Franklin counties under tornado warnings, including the town of Red Bay. That warning until 4:15. In Crooked Oak, 4:16 the arrival time. Get to the lowest level of your home. If you've got a basement or a storm shelter, get there now. If you don't, get to the ground level and put as many barriers between you and the tornado as possible, okay? So put walls, as many as you can between you and the tornado. So get to an interior room that's going to offer you the most protection. In Cave Spring, around 4:41, the expected arrival time for you. Now we take you down to these storms that are around Demopolis and near Selma. Two storms, right, or two tornado warnings, I should say, and a storm moving to the northeast. In Choctaw County, we have a tornado warning here. Gilberttown, Silas, and Toxie. These are locations also where you need to take shelter as quickly as you can. I'd say in all these instances, a mobile home is not a safe place to be. We're going to get more tornado warnings tonight. If you live in a mobile home tonight, think about where you may go when a tornado warning is issued, or where you may go right now before the warning is even issued so you can get to a sturdy shelter. Friend, family member, church, someplace like that offers you more protection than a mobile home. The arrival time in Gilberttown around 4:06, so just minutes from now. In Lew around 4:16, in Slater around 4:29, to give you some indication of where these are going. Back over to Mississippi now, south of Natchez. Natchez is right here. We've got a storm in Wilkinson County producing a tornado indicated by radar. 4:15 is when this one expires, moving off to the northeast right now, could come across Highway 84. Then outside of Greenville, Mississippi, just to the west of Greenville, Mississippi, we've got another tornado warned storm here in Drew County. So if you're in Collins, you got to be taking shelter now. And that storm's probably going to come across a Highway 65 here, maybe in the next 15 minutes or so. So also a highway you want to be off of. A radar indicated tornado here. The bigger picture, really sets the stage for tonight. Multiple tornado watches in effect, meaning in all these areas highlighted in red, the conditions right now are favorable for tornadoes to form, and you need to be making your plan right now. And when a warning is issued, then you need to take immediate action to save you and your family. We, of course, are going to follow the radar very closely throughout the evening. Let's hand it over to Alex.
Yeah, make sure you've got everything that Dr. Nab outlined in your safe spot. Make sure the kids, everyone in your family knows where to go, and make sure you know where your pets are so you can grab them quickly and everybody can get to that safe spot immediately. Tornado warnings firing throughout the day because of scenes like this. This is Wayne County, Mississippi. So we're really in the midst of this event. You can see that tornado spotted earlier. There have been reports of damage, and as we just saw from Mike's report, there are tons of tornado warnings still in effect. And I want to step away from the current warnings and break down what's yet to come, because I think it's really important that we remember there are still a lot of people in the threat zone here moving forward tonight and into the day tomorrow. So through tonight, and this would include the late evening and overnight hours, we're going to be watching a lot of Alabama into the state of Georgia, parts of Tennessee, including Middle Tennessee, getting into the southern sections of Tennessee, sections of southern Mississippi and Alabama also within that threat zone. So our Torcon values 7, 5, 3 farther east you go. So we're still going to be dealing with that severe threat. I think as we get into the overnight hours, maybe more of a wind threat taking over. That's not to say you can't get tornadoes, and damaging wind, we know, can cause just as much in the way of problems as tornadoes. So keep this in mind. If you live in a house or a building that's surrounded by a lot of trees, you're going to want to pick that most interior, lowest level room to even sleep in. Falling trees will be a real danger with storms tonight. We look at temperatures now. Chattanooga, Alabama, or Chattanooga and Atlanta have both been holding on in the upper 50s, but you can see that warmer air beginning to edge a little farther to the north here across the state of Georgia. So Atlanta, you're going to see things actually warming up here as we move forward. We've actually gone from 56 to 58. Birmingham, you've also seen warming temperatures. As that warm front lifting, we're getting in on that warmer, more unstable air. So I think you go outside in Atlanta right now and you go, no chance of severe. Not becoming more favorable for severe weather, atmospherically speaking, as we head into the late evening and overnight hours. Now, we look at our future radar. We're going to start things off at 8 o'clock Central Time. So we're going to be watching parts of Alabama and, of course, Mississippi for the threat of strong to severe thunderstorms. Could see some hail, could see some tornadoes still at this point, as well as damaging winds. Moving into the late evening and overnight, North Georgia in the mix. Still watching central Alabama, back into parts of eastern and southern Mississippi. That line continuing east as we head into the early morning hours, I should say, of our Thursday. So midnight and beyond, still watching North Georgia, including the Atlanta metro area. Birmingham could get another blast of storms rolling through into the very early morning hours of your Thursday. That's why I say sleep in that safe spot, so you're already ahead of the curve. You're already where you need to be should those warnings be issued while you're sleeping. Into the 4 o'clock hour. Now that line beginning to make its way out of Alabama into the state of Georgia, headed towards Atlanta, 6, 7 o'clock in the morning. Again, damaging winds very likely at this point. And then the upstate of South Carolina, Charlotte, North Carolina in the mix. A closer look at Birmingham. In addition to the storms, want you to be aware of the threat of flash flooding as well. I know, the tornado kind of takes the headline here, but flash flooding could be a real issue with several rounds of really big downpours in these very strong storms. So you get out there tomorrow morning, the storms are done, water may still be high. Dr. Nab, already have seen plenty of problems. Anticipate more of those problems here in the hours and days to come.
Yeah, we're not just talking about warnings here. It's actually happening on the ground. This is Brookwood, Alabama, to the east of Tuscaloosa. This is where we've had some downed trees, obviously, some power. Look at those trees getting practically just snapped just above the base. Those are some really, really strong winds. Good chance a tornado was involved here because when we saw the velocity signatures and where the warnings were issued. And in the general vicinity, we don't have a lot of reports, but they're going to be coming in as the night goes on. But if you look, here's Tuscaloosa, and Brookwood's off to the east of there. This is Mound State Park to the south of Tuscaloosa on the other side of I-20. There was roof damage to a number of houses. in the city, both sides of the county line, several businesses damaged. This is in Moundville to the south of Tuscaloosa. And it's not just been the wind. Look out to the northwest of Tuscaloosa. This is all within the last few hours. In Gordo, the hail size was 2 3/4 inches. Baseball and golf ball size hail. Getting the pictures of it, it is really, really coming down, not just heavy rainfall, but also the very large hailstones with that tremendous instability in those upward motions. So here is Tuscaloosa, here's Birmingham, and off to the northwest of there along I-22, tornadoes reported by emergency management near Birmingport. So we're getting these systems actually being reported, and Mike, we've got a lot of water-covered roads that are going to be increasingly a problem as the night goes on. But you got same places, you got some flood advisories and flash flood warnings. We have a lot of tornado warnings as well.
Yeah, and really I think that the pressing issue for us right now are these tornadoes that are approaching Birmingham, Alabama this evening. We've got a lot of tornado warnings in the state, but there are 2 different warnings just to the west of Birmingham right now. You can see the bigger picture in all here. The big low actually sits up in here. We actually have some storms that are firing up in here, but with the low sitting here, we've got fronts that are coming off of that back in here, and that's really the forcing that's coming in as that front really dives in, the cold air undercuts the warm air, and up go the storms. But we've also had just a little bit of sunshine today, a little bit of warming, a little bit of instability that's been creeping up today, and that's why these storms have fired out ahead of the main line. But both of these are working in tandem, this area here and this area here, to push storms eastbound through the night tonight. Some storms are getting frisky down through Baton Rouge, Louisiana. I'll talk about those in just a second. Here's really the pressing issue tonight. Not only do we have flood warnings, we've got tornado warnings. 2 different storms that are kind of merging into one now. We had 2 distinct supercells that are almost merged into one now. Jefferson County is under a tornado warning. This does include Birmingham. 2 different areas of rotation on this. Now the storm's coming together. An area right in here that was going north. It may be actually now going a little bit east of north at this point, and it's just outside of Concord. And then we've got this one right here that's going more in this direction straight toward Concord. But I think it was this first one here that caused the damage that we saw there in Brookwood there, where the trees were snapped. We actually had some detection on the radar of debris that was lofted into the air. That could have been tree branches, leaves, stuff like that. So confirmed tornado, and we saw the pictures, but this is a very dangerous situation. Birmingham sitting right in here with tornadoes generally moving in this direction. So the time to take shelter is right now. Get to your safe spot. If you have a tornado shelter, it's the perfect time to get there. Basement, grab the kids, the helmets, grab your cell phone, flashlight, the shoes, and get to your safe spot and stay there until the all clear is given. There's the bigger picture. I'm going to time it out for you, okay? I'm going to move the tracker over as these storms move, and we'll time it out for you in a place like Birmingham. We think about 4:41, so we've got about a half an hour before the tornado is on you here in Trussville around 5:04. You've got a little bit of time. Not a lot, but you don't have to panic at this moment if you're in Birmingham. Take your time, get your things, and get to your safe spot and be there within the next, I'd say, 15 to 20 minutes. All right, Colbert and Franklin counties up in northern Alabama, we're under a tornado warning right now, a radar-indicated tornado coming near Russellville, also a severe thunderstorm warning that extends up toward Florence with this one. This is going to come probably across Highway 72. This may eventually hold together and go across the Tennessee state line. Again, 4:15, the expiration on that warning there. The storm's farther south now of Birmingham. A couple of different warnings here, including Dallas and Perry counties for us. This is coming close to Selma. There's the storm back in there. It's got a little hook echo on it. Hamburg and the town of Safford. Please take shelter quickly. Again, lowest level of your home, down on the ground level, and then be in an interior room. It could be a bathroom. It could be a closet, it could be under a stairwell, but don't be near an exterior wall or windows. Those are dangerous places to be. The interior part of your home will offer you the most protection. This is a radar-indicated tornado, but it's got a pretty good hook on it right now, so I'd be very worried about that one coming very close to Selma. In Choctaw County, in southwestern Alabama, we've got a tornado warning here. This is an observed tornado, by the way, and this storm moving off to the northeast. In Gilberttown, Silas, Toxie, all take shelter in those locations, and a storm that's straddling the state line at this point, moving over into Alabama, Washington, and Wayne counties under a tornado warning. If you're in Silas, get to shelter quickly here. A radar-indicated tornado here. Now we take you back into middle of Mississippi. This is south of Natchez right now, Wilkinson County. Tornado warning for us. That's got a really good look to bad look, I should say, but a good look on the radar, a good signature that shows some inflow into that storm, and numerous warnings that extend off to the northeast from there, including counties that go up between Natchez and Brookhaven. So I'd say anywhere along Highway 84 and getting close to 55 eventually. We want you to take shelter this evening. There's no use in just opening your doors and going out and looking for it. These storms could be interrupted by rain on the front end of them. You may not be able to see them at all. So be careful tonight, folks. There's a lot going on. By the way, I did want to mention those Baton Rouge storms. There's a big line coming through right now. Really intense straight line winds are possible. Baton Rouge is under a severe thunderstorm warning with tornadoes possible. All right. So again, inside, the best place for you to be tonight. Want to take you back to the video we have from the storm trackers out there outside of Birmingham. This is in Brookwood, Alabama. You can see that we've got plenty of damage here, a lot of trees that have been snapped here. So confirmed tornado here, folks. You can see first responders are on the scene and moving through. Please be careful tonight. Stay alert. We, of course, are going to be with you through the night tonight to update you on the warnings to keep you safe. We're back right after this.
We log at the top of the world, a mile high into the mountains. That's where some of the best logging is.
It's absolutely insane up here.
Careful, careful, careful. There's lots of things that can go wrong.
The mud just does not stop.
You can't stay on the road.
You just hope you make it.
It's a battle against Mother Nature. It's not for everyone.
Let the fun begin.
Welcome back to our live coverage here on the Weather Channel as you're looking at Brookwood, Alabama, where a likely tornado took down some trees here. They got the heavy machinery in here and the front end loader trying to get the trees off the roads here to make them passable. Trees that are down, power lines that are down, and this is going to be, we think, unfortunately, the theme for the remainder of the evening. We've got a full-fledged severe weather outbreak occurring for us right now, and the most pressing issues are in Alabama currently, but there are warnings in multiple states right now. But Birmingham in particular is the location that we are worried about. We've got large coverage of storms right now. Really the areas that we're watching closely are two different areas. One here really centered on Alabama, another one back here with this line right coming down the Mississippi, all right? So it's Arkansas, it's Louisiana, and it's also the state of Mississippi. Want to get you to Birmingham first and show you these storms that are fired up and produce tornadoes. Two different tornadoes with this particular cell. Now, it's condensed some as the two tornadoes, it seems like, have kind of merged together into one larger complex here. Jefferson County under a tornado warning right now. Observed tornado, and this is really the same complex that did the damage there in Brookwood, but this is just now to the west of Birmingham. We're going to time this out for you with a tracker here. Birmingham, around 4:34 is when we think that it's going to be there. There could be new rotation that forms down in here. Looking at a bit of a hook right there just to the west of Hueytown. In Center Point, looking for a storm to be on you at about 4:47 this evening. So getting to shelter right now is vitally important with a history of tornadoes with those two tornadoes. Down around Selma right now, Dallas County is under a tornado warning. That does include Selma. Get to shelter now. You have no time to waste, not to mention we've got another one following behind that with a pretty good hook on it. So radar indicated tornado, but I think in many instances, some of these won't be spotted by storm chasers or storm trackers that are out there because they'll be obscured by trees or rain. So many of the tornadoes that you're going to see this evening will be radar confirmed, not necessarily confirmed by actual human being and their eyes. Then you can, I'm going to back that up just a little bit and get you to that other warning that just was updated there. It's that new one right there, because that's got a pretty good little hook on it right down in there. That's also Dallas County, but around Safford, that's the city that's going to be affected. That's a radar indicated tornado, and I don't really just like the looks of that. The little appendage that hangs south there, that's likely where the rotation is. That's going to come right across, say, Highway 80. Numerous tornado warnings between Waynesboro, Mississippi, and then Thomasville, Alabama, Choctaw, and Washington counties. Back down here in the secondary storm, we've got inflow into that, and it looks like a hook forming there as well. That warning until 4:30 tonight. Want to go back over into Mississippi because these storms are also getting pretty violent tonight, all in a larger line of storms. And along this line of storms, you're going to see spin-ups here. So we've got tornado warnings now between Natchez and Brookhaven right now. Eventually, these storms could come across Interstate 55 tonight. I want to take you down toward Baton Rouge. Really intense line of storms here. You could get some really good straight line winds with this, unfortunately. So damaging winds might not knock down trees, might take down power lines. So Baton Rouge, I would expect winds here 60 to 70 miles an hour. And a lot of times on some of these storms that bow out like this, I'm going to widen that out just a hair, because a lot of times when you get these bow echoes that form like this, what will happen is you'll get a little tornado that will spin up on the north side of it. That's usually where a tornado would happen in one of these bow echoes. So I would say north side of Baton Rouge. We'll watch for tornadoes for you, but right now, pretty intense bow echo coming through Baton Rouge with 60+ mile-per-hour winds. Dr. Knapp, one of the themes with all these storms is they'll produce heavy rain, and some places will get hit more than once.
Yeah, and some places are getting an inch or two per hour. Here's North Little Rock, Arkansas. Look at those water-covered roads. That water is going to be a lot harder to cross than you might think. Who knows what condition the road is in underneath that water, and that water's moving. Only takes a foot or two to float a vehicle. Now, Little Rock, Arkansas, Memphis, Tennessee, and then a lot of you in Alabama are dealing with the issues with the flash flooding. Yes, we have a lot of tornado warnings, severe thunderstorm warnings, but we also have, if I just show the flash flood warnings and advisories, a lot of them in Alabama, but we also have, going back farther in the direction of Little Rock, a flash flood warning in Memphis, Tennessee until 5 local time. All that heavy rain that came through, just because it stopped raining doesn't mean the roads have recovered just yet. Here we are in Waynesboro. Look at this heavy rain with all that lightning. Flash flood warning goes till 8:15 local time. So even if it stops raining, as it gets dark, you still could encounter water-covered roads. And an inch and a half an hour. Now we're starting to get into tropical type of rainfall rates. A little bit farther north and east in Sweetwater in Linden in Alabama, the warning continues. We've got more heavy rain on the way. That's until 4:45 local time. And then up in Tuscaloosa, you have your severe warnings. You're still under a flash flood warning till 5:30 local time. And then just next door in Birmingham, flash flood warning goes until 5 o'clock local time. And yes, you do have the tornado warnings. Take shelter in the lowest dry level, most interior room. We'll be back.
Okay, everyone. Our mission is to provide complete balanced nutrition for strength and...
Thanks for being with us tonight here as we cover active weather for you across the South with a full-fledged severe weather outbreak happening right now. Numerous tornado warnings in multiple places where tornadoes have touched down and caused some damage. I want to show you the bigger picture here. We've got a large spiraling low that sits up in here, a line of storms here with tornadoes, then a larger area out ahead of that where we've really been hit hard, especially in Alabama this afternoon. Birmingham in particular is the location we are worried about right now. Tornado warnings that do include Jefferson County, and there is a really distinct hook echo that's now reformed on this. This is a system that has produced some damage in Brookwood, but our warning includes Birmingham. It includes Hueytown and Forestdale. This is an observed tornado, and our warning till 4:45, although I would be surprised if they didn't extend it beyond that even. Let's get right down into it. There's the rotation right in there. I think that's tightened up a little bit from what it was maybe a few minutes ago. Rotation right over Sylvan Springs right now. Take shelter right now. Now is the time to protect you and your family. Get to your basement and a sturdy location in your basement, under a big piece of furniture, under a table or a desk. and make sure you're covering your head, mattresses, blankets over top of you, bike helmets. Make sure you have shoes, your cell phone, a flashlight. These are all things you'll need. And this storm moving closer and closer to Birmingham. Storm moving off to the northeast here, so it may go just north of downtown, but hit us here on the north side of Birmingham and come across I-65. There's a big hail core with that as well, but I'm very concerned by the look of that little appendage hanging down there just outside of Fairfield. So again, 4:40 for us in Birmingham, so about another 10 minutes or so, excuse me, and the tornado will be there. Also concerned about what's going on in Selma tonight as well. We've got a tornado warning in Dallas County. 2 different storms here with hook echoes on them. One right over Selma and one just to the west of Selma. Looks like the rotation came literally right over Selma. Now pushing just to the east of Selma right now along Highway 14. But you need to be taking shelter quickly and off the roads into a safe location right now. But concerned about what may have happened. Potentially, we'll get some word out of Selma if there's any damage that occurred there. Another area of rotation just back outside of Orville here. That one could track very close to Selma as well. So in Selma, if you're listening to us right now, watching us right now, back into your shelter. You got to go back into your shelter and be safe tonight. Then follow that line back past Thomasville here and along Highway 84. Choctaw and Clark counties are under tornado warnings as well. There's pretty good rotation on this one. What the radar can do is it can take out couple of different modes of the radar. It can show you the precipitation. So that's what we've been showing you with the oranges and the greens and the reds on it. That's showing you how much rain is falling out of it. But then we take that off and we look at just the wind within a storm. And that'll show up as red and green right next to each other, indicating a tornado. So there's some rotation just off of Highway 69 tonight, and that may slice right near Sweetwater or maybe somewhere near Thomasville and Sweetwater. So getting into shelter is exactly what you need to be doing right now in those spots. Not to mention, we've also got flooding that's happening for us right now. That's an observed tornado, by the way. Over into Mississippi, Adams and Franklin County under tornado warnings right now. So in Meadville, in Roxy, a radar-indicated tornado could come right between Natchez and Brookhaven. Take shelter there. Bow Echo coming through Baton Rouge with very intense straight-line winds. So Baton Rouge, East Baton Rouge, Iberville, West Baton Rouge parishes all under those severe thunderstorm warnings right now. Wouldn't be surprised to see winds here gust 60 to 70 miles an hour, Alex. And a lot of times on the north side of that Bow Echo, somewhere maybe up around New Roads, wouldn't be surprised if we get brief tornadoes spin up as well.
Yeah, threat also that we'll be watching for overnight and into the day tomorrow. We look at Atlanta right now and you step outside and you go, no way we're getting severe weather. It's cool, it's cloudy, it's damp. However, temperatures are on the uptick across the area. We look at what's happening region-wide, and we've got that warm front lifting to the north. You can see those winds picking up, shaking the camera, and so temperatures actually have been rising, going from the mid-50s to the upper 50s here in the last few hours, and that's something that will continue here over the next few hours, again, as that warm front lifts northward. So you notice those temperatures on the increase. That will make things a bit more unstable and a bit more favorable in terms of severe weather as we head into the overnight. So Atlanta, overnight really early tomorrow morning, just in time for that morning drive when you're going to see the storms. And then tomorrow, we're still up against a significant severe threat across parts of the Carolinas and eastern Georgia. Torcon of 7. That's, again, a higher risk that we will see tornadoes. Could see some strong tornadoes tomorrow. So if you're in places like Raleigh or Myrtle Beach or Charleston, even Charlotte, I want you to be extremely weather aware during the day tomorrow. And through tomorrow, again, outbreak of severe thunderstorms and tornadoes. While there will be a threat of several tornadoes, widespread damaging winds and large hail also possible. And in addition, like today, tomorrow could bring the opportunity for stronger long track tornadoes. We're going to be talking more about tomorrow's threat, get you back to today's warnings next.
Need a change of scenery?